Well, good evening. I'd like to invite everyone to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion to accept approve tonight's meeting agenda as proposed? Mrs. Wood with the motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Patch, any discussion on the agenda? All right, all those in favor? Thank you. And with that, we have kind of a two-part meeting tonight. Before we go into our normal public meeting and kind of regular board meeting, tonight is also the public hearing for our budget. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent, Mr. Thomas Caldwell. And this is why Pearl is so important. Before we get started, Tom, can I get a motion to move into our public hearing comments section?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Patch? Second by Mrs. Wood. Any discussion? All those in favor? Now the floor is yours.
Okay. Testing. All right, as you see, May 7th through 14th, this is tonight. School board must hold a public hearing 7 to 14 days before the vote. And the other notable date is May 15th, deadline for mailing the budget notice. And again, we already had mailed that. That was in the mail. They should already be arriving in the homes. So as we see, these are the requirements. All superintendents are basically reading at their public hearing. And so school districts must present a budget to district voters for approval each year. This excludes the Big Five. Vote must be held on the third Tuesday in May. Budgets must be prepared in 3 categories: program, administrative, and capital. A public hearing on the budget must be held 7 to 14 days prior to the vote, as I just said. Board of Education vacancies must be filled by voters. Section 495 of the real property tax law requires school districts to have a tax exempt report, which shows how much the total assessed value of the final assessment roll is exempt. Budget copies must be available in public libraries, and they are. Budget information also needs to be made available on the district's website, if we have one, and we do, and it is. Required budget notice must include contingency budget amount, and it is. Statement of assumptions regarding the calculation of such amount, which is Ed Law 2022, and it is. And mailed by May 15, 2019, and it has been. The copy and it went home. Okay, so here's the breakdown. The further slides kind of make it a little bit more friendly in the following slides. If the budget does not pass, and again, this is the whole contingency part, if the budget does not pass, we have some options. I don't know if the Central Square budget had ever not passed. I know going back 20 years, it had. You could modify it or put out a contingency budget, which means that we would have to eliminate $762,375. And now we're going to break this down. This is the proposed budget next to the current budget. We have gone over the revenue several times over the last few months. I want to remind all of you again that the large increase in the state aid is directly related to the increased building aid. The tax levy is a 2.72% increase, which results and an increase of there's the number again, $762,375, and again, still within the property tax cap. It is also important to take a look that 59% of the revenue of the district comes from state aid. 36% actually comes from taxes. Again, here are the corresponding expenditures in the 6 categories that we discussed when presenting the budget. As with the majority of school districts, the majority of expenditures are comprised of salary and benefits. Key number to look there is the debt services, which the dollar change is $1,363,132. The increase in building aid, which is a revenue, directly corresponds with the increase in debt service, which is the expense. And the way that I like to explain it to the students that I've gone into some rooms this past week, debt service is basically our mortgage payment, and the state gives us back 85%. Some of the key things I wanted to touch upon, those are the 3 special patrol officers. And we have Officer Hargraves on the left, we have Officer Malecki on the far right, and we have Officer LeCastro on the far left. Then in the middle we have Officer Hargraves and then Officer Malecki on the right. Combined, they have 75 years of police experience. We are, in this budget, proposed budget right here, we are introducing, we are going to be hiring a 4th special patrol officer. Benefit of having a special patrol officer is the 3 of them right there actually equal the cost of one's resource officer in most districts. And again, that is because in order to get this civil service position, you have to be a retired police officer, which means we are not paying for their benefits. So the cost is, it's fantastic for the district, and the experience they bring is phenomenal. We're very excited to get the 4th. Some of the other things that we just wanted to spend a little bit of really brief amount of time talking about is the fact that we are making the best use of our resources so we can maximize our support for student programming. Haven't really talked a lot about the transition program, but I just kind of want to put some numbers to it. So the 8 to 10 transition program takes place at Paula V. Moore, and then this year it also took place at Central Square Middle School. There was a conversation that the board had last year, and the idea was these are for students that are suspended. Now, it was 3 to 5 after school, and the board and our administration agreed that this wasn't a vacation for them. We didn't want them to, we wanted them to be able to still wake up, catch the bus, come in, and be able to transition back in. The transitions program has been beneficial for a number of reasons. What happened before was we would send tutors out to houses and nobody would be there. And we would obviously still have to pay the tutor, we'd have to pay the mileage, and we'd have to pay them for going out there because that was part of their schedule. By having the transition program, basically we have our director of student supports and interventions and a teaching assistant meets the bus. The bus just does a pickup for the transition students for the middle school and high school. They come in, they drop the middle school students off first in their transitions program, then they come up here and they drop ours off. They're escorted about literally 50 feet from their entrance, which is the entrance over where the district office is housed here at Paula V. Moore, and that's where they are the entire time. Even if they have to go to the bathroom, they're walked to that. The end result is about 90,000 plus that the district has saved having this. It's been phenomenal. And then here's the thing, so someone's like, well, do we have to spend more money staffing that? And we don't, because we have many teachers that are 0.8, so it's not enough to cut a position, but it's really allowing us to be able to maximize their use, which now is able to have that savings every year. Another example of what we're doing is for this next year's budget is we're using CSI as swing space. So CSI is Central Square Intermediate. I'm going to be located down there because they have to have we want to have an administrator in the building at all times. I won't be doing teacher evaluations and observations. That will still be the principal of record of Millard Hawk, and that is Amanda Beal. She'll still be doing that, but that will be my home base. If there are times that I have to come up here to do superintendent hearings, or anything else around the district, Aaron Phillips, who is the Executive Director of Elementary Education, will come and be in that building for me, so there's always an administrator in that building. So that is the savings, the potential savings of at least $60,000, because it's $200 if we were to hire an interim principal to come in to that building. Pearl Horn is also going to be down there doing her normal duties, but she's also going to be doing the duties of an elementary secretary. There are only going to be 6 classrooms. It's the 4th and 5th grade classrooms for Millard Hawk. Big benefit, yes, it's $125,000 in us doing that, but the real savings is how we put that out to bid. If we didn't have CSI there available to be able to use the swing space, King & King Architects and Turner Construction said that it would be much more of a cost to the district, and it would definitely have impacted the bidding process, which we've just seen when districts have put out their bids and they've only got one bid. And in one of the bigger districts that's our neighbor on Onondaga County, it came back 11 million over. So the fact that they don't have to just work on the 2nd and 3rd shift and then try to clean the rooms up for the students to go into it's going to be a convenience, but it's also going to be a savings for the district. As you can see right here, again, this is another example of Forecast 5. They came and presented a couple times. So here's another way to look at our expenditures. The only difference is that this is Forecast 5 software allows us to compare our district with the rest of the county. The key here is we spent the least amount per pupil, but what you're going to see is we put 75% of everything in our budget goes directly into programming. And I don't want to come up here and compare that to the rest of the county, because I don't want to call out other districts in our county. But what I can say is we are absolutely in the top of what we put towards programming. You'll see that in a little bit. Here are the 3 part categories in greater detail that I had mentioned at the beginning that were mandated to have the 3 categories. This is one of the major requirements for this hearing. Okay, so here's the expenditures by category. As you see, we're proud that we have 75% of our overall budget going towards program. Investing in our students, and again, as you see, our mission statement is to empower all students to excel as citizens in a changing world. And a big focus that this board and prior boards have focused on is engagement. We know if we can have students that are engaged, they're going to be more successful. Well, there's ways to engage students, not just in the classroom academically, but then what else do we provide for them as part of our overall program? So athletics, our athletic program is absolutely phenomenal. So just really quick, some of the accolades. What I really kind of want to show too is I want to just link the expenditures to our alignment with our program. So 1,332 participated in athletics this year. We are expecting even more accolades following the spring season, but again, that is a large amount of students that participate in our athletics. 873 in the varsity, junior varsity, 459 in modified. Just this year, we added a modified tennis and a modified volleyball team, and we also added 2 unified sports, unified bowling and unified basketball. If anybody's watching this and they don't know what unified sports are, that is half the team are special education students with intellectual disability, and then the other half are non-special ed students, and it's pretty remarkable to watch. 14 out of our 20 teams achieved scholar athlete recognition. 4 league champions, boys cross country, rifle, cheer, boys indoor track. 7 teams competed in sectionals. 3 section champions, rifle, cheer, boys indoor track. 2 coaches were recognized. Tim LaRose, he's new, for wrestling. Bob Coppola was the Section 3 Wrestling Hall of Fame inducted. We have 5 students who qualified for states, 1 wrestler, 2 indoor track, 1 boy golfer, 1 boy bowler. and one state champion team in rifle in the three position category. Everybody knows how special our music program is, and consistently this year there was no change. So winter drumline, we had which consists of 25 students, 9th through 12th grade, placed third in their class, earning bronze medals in the percussion circuit state finals competition. Marching band, that consists of 81 students from 8th grade to 12th grade. They placed fourth in their class. At the New York State Field Band, and placed second in the U.S. Band's Yamaha Cup Finals, earning Best General Effect, Best Color Guard, and Cadets Award of Excellence for Achievement in Creativity, Performance, and Overall Effect. Junior Varsity Guard consisted of 16 students, grades 6th through 9th grade, placed second, earning silver medal. Silver medals in the Mid-York Color Guard Circuit Finals competition. Varsity Winter Guard, 20 students, 6th grade through 12th grade, earned gold medals in every Mid-York Guard Circuit competition during this season, and earned first place in regional competitions in Connecticut, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. It's a remarkable season. Middle school percussion ensemble, 13 students, 6th through 7th grade, placed first, earning gold medals at the state finals in the New York State Percussion Circuit. Music theater department, we have over 120 students. They shined in this year's two performances, It's a Wonderful Life and The Sound of Music. And again, if you were there, you saw it packed the auditorium, every single one of those performances. And then investing our students in art. 32 Paul B. Moore and 7 Central Square Middle School students were chosen to have their artwork displayed at the Salmon River Fine Arts Center at the annual Student Art Show, and several of our students earned awards. 8 Paul B. Moore students won Gold Key Awards, 8 won Silver Key Awards, and 11 honorable mentions as part of the annual CNY Scholastic Art Program. This is the largest school art competition in America, and our students earned these accolades out of the total 5,670 student work submitted. Senior Margaret Arroyo received a national gold medal, ranking in the top 1% of teen artists in the nation, and his award-winning photograph will be on display at Carnegie Hall in New York City, and Mark and his teacher will be there at the ceremony in June. Students throughout the district were chosen to have their artwork on display at Northern Onondaga Public Library in Brewerton. That was fantastic to see how many community members came out to see that. And then Paul D. Moore student Ben Volpe was one of the Jostens 2019 photo contest winners, beating out more than 6,000 student photo entries. It was selected from the photo illustration and manipulation category and will be displayed in a New York City gallery in October of 2019. And what I wanted to add here, these were things that they didn't fit under sports, they didn't fit under music or art, but it really kind of speaks to the well-rounded Central Square students that that we're supporting. So here's some out of many. So Paul D. Moore mock trial team placed first at the Oswego County Mock Trial Championships and advanced to the regional championships. 125 students participated in DECA at Paul D. Moore this year. 33 Paul D. Moore students earned a variety of academic awards in the annual DECA Career Development Conference, beating over 450 students from the region. 7 earned a top 10 qualifying recognition in the state conference, and 2 qualified for International Career Development Conference. Paul D. Moore continues to have the most students that receive state recognition than any other school district in the region. That includes Onondaga County as well, providing them with valuable experiences that will serve them well no matter which career path they are on. Paul D. Moore placed first overall in the Oswego County, that's the OCAY League competition, earning the highest overall score after all 4 competitions. And then the Red Hawk Robotics team, the Robo Eagles, continue to win regional and national robotics competitions. They were awarded the tournament's Robot Skill Champions, the Think Award, and the Teamwork Award at the Robotics World Championships at the New York State Championships. Again, the last 4 or 5 slides really kind of show you what we're talking about when we say the attributes of the Central Square learner. Again, this is forecast 5. As you see, the live birth rate data compared by forecast 5, our overall enrollment is projected to continue to decline. It shows 2024, 3,290. Okay. Tax levy increase 2.72. So the tax levy versus the tax rate. Again, spending a moment, tax levy is the total tax revenue figure. When the district establishes the levy, that is the total that will be collected. Tax rate is determined by these factors: assessed property value, town assessor's office, equalization rate, New York State Board of Real Property Tax Services, and the tax levy, local school district. This is the best estimation we can make right now, and as you can see, a 2.72 would be $51 for a $100,000 house. Trends show that the actual rates are less than the estimated that we have put out. That goes back the last 3 years. It shows that we have estimated higher than what it ended up actually resulting in. So last year, the actual rate per thousand was $18.91. As you can see, we are very competitive with our county districts when it comes to school taxes. Okay, the propositions, as you see, Proposition 1 is the general fund budget. Proposition 2 is the school transportation vehicles. And Proposition 3, that is our safety and security project. I put about a 3.5-minute video together that showed people where on our website they can go to see if they were registered, and then which of the 2 locations they would be voting at. And if you ask Pearl, we've had a pretty good stream of people coming in, seeing if they were registered because they watched the video, so it was pretty good. For our safety and security project, this was the card that was mailed home. We have had a couple of forums about the safety and security project. We just had one last week. Didn't have a lot of people come out to it, but the people that did, they asked some really good questions, and they were able to get some pretty solid responses. As you can see, overall, it touches all of the buildings. Even Central Square Intermediate, that was the least. Again, Central Square Intermediate is going to be used as a swing space next year, housing 4th and 5th grade students from Millard Hawk Elementary. But then after that, we're looking to bring back some of the programs that we're sending students over for special ed and alternative special education, alternative programs that are currently housed either at BOCES or other locations outside of our district, which we're looking to be able to have a cost savings as well as having the students feel that they are, part of our Central Square School District. So we have tasked our head of special ed, Michelle Lanya, and she will be looking at that. We have a little bit of time because next year it's going to be used as swing space, but the plan, again, is to be able to utilize that building. The biggest part of the safety and security project is going to be the construction that's going to be needed to be done for all of our main entrances. So most school districts have been working right along, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, to add things like the double doors, the locked vestibule, bringing them from they get buzzed into a locked vestibule. Then from there, the only place they can go, they get buzzed in to like a holding spot in the office, and then from there they get buzzed into the rest of the building. We don't have that in any of our buildings right now, and that's essential. I've had some people say to me, well, we had the 2017 capital project, the $40.8 million, and now we're putting another one out. And I remind them that every 5 years, districts are required to have a building condition survey. I know there's legislation sitting on a desk right now in Albany that may be able to modify that, but currently that's the rules that are out there. So about 4 years ago, the district did a building condition survey, and it showed $120 million worth of needed repairs throughout the district. And that was done by a certified a certified architectural firm, and they came in and did that. At that time, it was Hunt. So when we looked at that, we prioritized all the things for safety and security structural that needed to get done, and that was the $40.8 million, still leaving the difference between $40.8 million and $120 million. So the almost $12 million is going to be able to do a lot of the things that we were not still able to get done with the $40.8 million referendum from 2018, but really allow us to be able to get to where we need to get to for our safety and security needs for our students. We have 4 candidates vying for 3 open seats on the board. These are in order of how they were just randomly drawn. The first one, Randy Hoy. Second one, who is sitting on the board, Tim McCarthy. Third one, Kathy Sundit. And the fourth one, Jamie Coppola. You will hear from some of them today and meet the candidates. Again, every vote matters. I get stopped by students all the time saying, hey, can we come in next week to register? And I remind them of these screens. Actually, there it is right there. And you got to do it by the 14th, so that is tomorrow. So we've had a steady stream of students coming down, making sure they're registered. And we've also had community members come in. And the ones that we spoke with regarding the changing from 5 locations to 2 locations, and some of them had some questions, and then we explained that we wanted to be able to open those polls much earlier at 6 a.m. so people could vote before they go to work, because that's been feedback for the past few years that I've been here, and now we'll be able to do that. Trying to open them up at 6 a.m. with 5 locations would have been impossible to have that many certified machinists and that many poll workers to be able to do that. So the main reason why we did it, though, is to get the voting polling locations out of the schools, and we've done that now with the American Legion and the Constantia VFW. Speaking of that, there are the locations. That was part of the 3.5-minute video where I explained that. So again, voters who live in Oswego County west of 81 and voters who live in Onondaga County will be voting at the American Legion, located on Fulton Avenue, 301. And then voting District 2, or all the voters who live in Oswego County east of Route 81, and all the voters who live in Oneida County, they'll be voting at the Constantia VFW, located at 1560 State Route 49, Constantia. And now at this point, I open it up to questions. All right, fantastic. Oh, really? Okay.
I'll go. You have some 3,761 students, and you were showing in the sports slide participation 1,332 participants. And it's pretty much common knowledge that the more the children are involved in extracurricular activities, there's a direct result in their grades, in staying through school, and seeing them their way to graduation. That's pretty much expected, right?
Yeah.
So with that, if you were to look, a number of those participants of the 1,332, it seems that, from my memory, that a number of those kids maybe play 3 sports, but they're also in DECA, and they're also in band. So if you were to really, and have you provided the district or the board, or are you tracking the number of students that are getting counted kind of double or triple? And do we really know what our penetration rate is for our entire student population that in other districts I'm sure can be left behind, but we probably have clarity as to who's not involved in at least one activity. Is that right?
Yeah, so right now what we have is this company, Forecast 5. They're building dashboards for us to be able to look at. That's the next step. So right now it gets into discipline, it gets into other program type things. But the end goal is that dashboard then gets in there, so then we can see those students who are not. Like what's the number of students who are not playing any sports at all? What's the number of students who are not involved in any clubs or activities or music? because what we're really trying to do, and Forecast 5 is going to allow us to get there, is what can we go with parents with and say, before they even get to the high school, before they get to middle school, and we can say, okay, if a student is participating in music, here are the numbers. This is the grade point average, boom, 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 of the students that fit this demographic. For students that are playing sports, again, here is this. So we are tracking that right now to be able to get more data to be able to say that, which is going to be huge because our executive principal / director of counseling and pathways for success oversees not only the counseling department here at Paul D. Moore, but also the middle school. And we're going to be introducing, part of this budget for next year is introducing some of these services for our elementary for counseling. So for the first time, we're going to have an elementary counselor next year. The following year, another elementary counselor. For next year, an elementary social worker, followed by another elementary social worker. Because we recognize that we had an inverted pyramid of services where most of our services for mental health needs, for counseling services, school psychologists, it's not until the student gets to the middle school. So we see the need in making sure that we have that counseling support. I say this because it's going to be very important when Kristen Enright is going to be meeting with the counselors to be able to say to the parents, okay, hey, look, here is what it looks like for your students. So we're not just saying, hey, get your kid to come out and participate. We want them to know the success rate, exactly what you're saying. For sports, if you're involved in music, if you're involved in clubs and activities, anybody that's had a child in DECA will attest to the fact of that's a changing factor for students. We had Mike Laudier's daughter. Mike, what's the name of the program at Syracuse University that she's in now, kind of a continuation?
The Enactus program, part of Whitman Business Management School, that she was just in Kansas City for a national competition, of which they went to the semifinals, so they were very, very, very happy with that. So.
And Cameron played a key role in DECA, and as you know from your time being on the board, but it's to your point, if we can show the parents that it's not just saying, hey, get your kids involved because it's a good thing, it's get your kids involved, here are the data.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm really excited because I know that of the 3,761, it's a straight line projection. You like to look at it and say, well, we have a third that are active, but that's not really accurate. We really don't have a third active. We have whatever that number is, but you're going to be able to really dial into that and see, and I don't mean to quantify this to just dollars and cents, but you're going to be able to actually show parents the value, is what I'm hearing you say, early on, so that they can encourage participation across the multitude, whether it be art, DECA, or different programs.
And not only grades, but their attendance, discipline. But what you also have to understand is out of that number, that roughly 3,700 students, you got a bulk of them at the elementary level. So they're not going to be participating in interscholastic sports, or so that's a whole group of that number. It's not until they get to where there actually are the clubs and activities that we are starting to track. But with that being said, they do some phenomenal things at the elementary level with the kids after school.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So, I don't know, I might have this wrong, but I think you said the assessment was to spend $120,000 on safety. We had budget for 40, and we got 12 million, so that leaves...
The 120 was the building condition survey that every 5 years that we have to do. It wouldn't have been shown right there. So every 5 years, districts have to do a building condition survey, and it shows how much stuff has to be done, right? So then out of that, we have to prioritize, because we couldn't have put out a capital project plan for $120,000  4 years ago. So what we prioritized and we focused on in 2017, the referendum was passed, and it was a $40.8 million. So a lot of the things in the 120 million building condition survey, we couldn't get done at that point, so we had to prioritize.
So it looks like you have roughly 80 left if we did all of that, like after you mentioned.
Remember, not left, because we never got 120,000. They just simply said the district overall, after spending many days going through every single building, crawl space and whatnot, they said if we were to do all of the things that needs to get done, it would cost the district $120 million. So then we worked with the architects, and we were able to say, okay, we're going to put a referendum out in 2017 that's going to address kind of like category 1 of like the highest priority things at that time. I will say 12 to 13 million of it were the roofs for all the buildings. Another, I want to say $12 million was electrical and structural things that had to get done. So the turf field was one of them that went probably 3 or 4 years beyond the shelf life of what a turf field should do. And then you get into things about concussions. There were teams that didn't want to come here to play. So all of those things were part of that priority for the 2017 referendum. So we still have the difference between 40.8 million and then the original building condition survey of the 120 to now. The goal is, when this next capital project is done, to then have it lined up with another capital project, and that's just healthy planning. The reason why it looks like the budget went up 6.75% is last year was a no-change budget. So really, the 6.75% is kind of like making up 2 years, and then next year you're going to see it drops back down. Had we been able to have another capital project earlier, ready to go to replace that with, it wouldn't have looked like such a high jump from what it was a year ago. So the plan is to then replace until, to your point, we finally got all of those things for the original building condition survey of 120 million had recognized.
So this 12 million is focused on the door, most of the doorway entry?
Well, it's a lot of stuff. It's some filming on the windows. It's a lot. It addresses this 50-page, very comprehensive plan that Armored One had put together. And they had kind of worked with our architects to say that putting, I always butcher this word, balusters, help me out here. Balusters. There it is. Say it again. Bollards. Places like out there where we don't want ever have a situation where someone could drive through the door. So they went around the district and they looked at all of these things. So it was that. Most of the money, though, is structural. So if you've been to our elementary buildings and you look at, let's say, Brewerton Elementary. So Brewerton Elementary, when they buzz you in, they don't have a straight viewpoint to where you are. So once you're in that building, there's the cafeteria right there. There's a long hallway to walk down before you even get into the main office. So that's going to be pretty substantial. And the card that went home broke down by building how much, so it's anywhere between, well, CSI, I believe it was like $760,000, but the other ones were between 1.3 million and 2.6 million, depending on just how much construction needed to be done. Brewerton's a good example. They're going to have to literally extend out that part of the building so you can have that secure vestibule area. AA Cole's the same thing. You get buzzed in, there's the cafeteria right there before you walk down and in. Millard Hawk's no different. You come in, the secretary turns around and sees you, they let you in. Remember, you haven't shown your license. Every school right now has the Raptor system. They can say if someone is a sex offender or whatnot. But they can't do that. The idea is you're going to scan and then walk to them. But if someone were to do something bad, they walk in and then take off. That is how it is in all of our buildings. So this is going to really get us to where we need to get in this secured vestibule area that you can't even get into the office buzzed in until the door behind you shuts. And we have the one point of entry for all visitors. So this is going to get us to where a lot of school districts were able to do that before. And someone said, wow, a lot of districts in Oswego County have already done this. They don't realize we're one of the largest school districts. So the cost for us doing this compared to some of the costs to our neighbors that are a fraction of our size is one of the reasons why they could do things like this in smaller capital projects. But with our district so big, we have a bus fleet of 100 buses compared to some districts that may have 30 buses or 20, that run through. Does that help?
So that's the priority. The 12 million is the next priority.
Absolutely, yes. And then once that's done, we're going to keep rolling because we still have a tremendous amount of stuff for our elementary buildings, our middle school and our high school that we need to get to that 120 million overall needs. We want to be able to get that all addressed. But the really exciting part is for our students that are freshmen here right now, they will be able to see these changes because God willing, this passes, it's still 2 years until it brings it to completion. That's how it is with the capital project. Did that answer your question? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I'm sure there's like some more look ahead when you do your budget planning and everything, more than 1 year. Maybe think about being a little more visible than 1 year forward, maybe showing what kind of capital projects are 2 years out, 3 years out. and I know it's difficult, you'll have to tweak things here and there, but I think it would be nice to have a plan that shows more than, 1 year ahead.
Sure.
So something you guys might want to think about down the road.
Thanks, Bill. Okay.
No more questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Popoco. With that, I will make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Nickerson, sorry, Mrs. Butch, you should do it. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Can I get a motion to open the regular meeting?
I'll motion.
Mrs. Wood, second by Mrs. Fishman. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. I know we handed out some blue cards, we don't have any in, so if there's no blue card, we will dispense with the community open forum and move into special presentations to the board. And with that, I will invite Mrs. Erin Phillips, Executive Director of Elementary Education, to present.
Where do I point this
Right over to this, like 7 or 8 9.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so we are going to talk about the Oswego County Literacy Initiative, which you guys have been hearing about all year. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through, since we're almost through this year, just to kind of give you some information and update, because we will be obviously continuing it next year. So this year is a building knowledge year, and the philosophy is the more you know, the better you do. So overall, when we introduced this, the overall goal is, as a county, and especially Central Square, is to increase the percent of our students who are reading on grade level. Currently, for the last 2 years, we have 60% of our kids, K-5, reading on grade level. We're trying to obviously improve that so that we have close to 100%, K-5. And we know that once you get to 3rd grade, if they're not reading on grade level by 3rd grade, the chance that they catch up is extremely difficult. So that's why this is focusing on, and we actually are focusing on, the grant is, or the initiative is pre-K to 3. So we're actually starting with our kids that are in pre-kindergarten, working with our reading coaches. They attend all of our PD sessions. They're involved in all the grade level the PD that goes on within the buildings on the half days. So we're trying to, those 36 students that are in each elementary building, or 18 if they have the split, are involved in getting the same PD so that they are on par when they get to kindergarten. We know that our county is very transient. So we have students who may start with us, may go to APW, may end up at Sandy Creek, and then back with us. So in doing this countywide initiative, we're really looking at getting more consistent instruction, no matter where the students may end up, come back to, they're hearing the same terminology, they're doing the same types of activities, so that when and if they do make it back to us, they haven't lost a beat. So the teachers are all of our teachers countywide do the PD together, they have conversations at their tables together, so really trying to build this cohesive piece up here in Oswego County. The foundational reading skills, which was not an eye-opener, but it made me rethink and go back to my speech days when I really learned about phonological awareness. And that is really the foundation of our reading skills. So if you know anybody in pre-K, and even all the way through 5th grade, they're really working on phonological awareness, being able to break apart a word, break apart syllables, sounds, and manipulate them without any print. So if students can do this auditorily, it's strengthening and building the different parts of their brain, which allow and spark for the reading connection to happen. Because reading in your brain takes place in the back of your brain, and then there's a connection to the part of your brain up here. So when the audiological part is back here, it connects, it puts the sound to the symbol, and it goes back and forth. So really working on those foundational reading skills so that the kids are able to manipulate sound. So when they get into 5th grade and they see a big word, they're able to break it apart, they're able to read it, they're able to decipher what it means in text. So that's really what we're working on, is those foundational skills. Our Reading League is the company, I guess you would call it, that's through the Oswego County Literacy Initiative. We have reading coaches that are through the Reading League that work in our buildings, and our curriculum consultants have been key in turnkeying and providing professional development for our teachers this year.
Mrs. Phillips, just one question. You mentioned the 60% kind of
Mhm.
benchmark that we're at now.
Yeah.
Do we know how that compares to, I mean, our county's one thing, but the reality is Central New York as a whole, like, is that on par?
Right. I don't know that answer. I know that what we're looking at doing, and we just had this big long conversation on Friday at our curriculum instructional meeting, was trying to find a tool or a measure that's going to show what our growth is as a county. So what we're really going to do is look at oral reading fluency, but we're not sure what the measure is going to be because each district uses its own tool. Like we use Dibbles, some schools use AimsWeb, but outside of our county, I don't know how that compares. Okay. So PD, because that has been our big focus this year, has started over the summer, last summer. I attended a 6-day training with our curriculum consultants, and it was the most grueling PD I have been in a very long time. Our brains because it was Saturday, it was Monday through Saturday. Come Friday afternoon, you could just see the look on all of our faces. By Saturday, I'm glad it was a lighter day because it was a lot. But with that, this was the book that we got. And you can see mine is all tagged up and pages are bent, and because this is kind of our Bible. This is what we've gone by. This is what all the professional development has been. And it's called LETTERS. And LETTERS stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. And it's just the foundational reading skills, phonological awareness, and what it all means. As you know, we had 2 countywide superintendent's days this year, one in November and one in February. The November one was all on that basic, because only 40 people, 40 staff members could go to this training countywide. So it was strategically picked by the districts as to who attended. So our teachers, pre-K through 3, special ed, reading, AIS, all needed the same, we all need to hear the same information at the same time so that everybody's on the same page. So that first day was a big room in Oswego, and they divided the room up, but they all went, every teacher heard the same exact information. And really the big part, if you ask teachers, they're gonna know the simple view of reading, and they're gonna know, or they should know, K through 3 especially, and Scarborough's reading rope, or they might just call it the reading rope. And all that is this, we all made these in October. This is Scarborough's reading rope, and this is the simple view of reading. So this down here is the word recognition strand. So I'm going to teach you all a little something. And this up here is the language comprehension strand, and this here is reading comprehension. So you can't have students understand what they read until they have a good foundation base. And if you saw mine, it's kind of poorly put together, but this is braided. This part is your solid foundational reading skills. So this is your phonological awareness, it is your high frequency words, it's your sight words, being able to accurately and quickly recall words like this and sounds. And it is, I'm gonna lose the one piece, the decoding, the big part of it. So these are woven like a braid. So if you've ever done your granddaughter or your daughter's hair, you know a braid is tightly done because once it's in and it's mastered, it's very hard to get a braid out, right? And when you do, their hair is all kinky. So this is a solid piece. This part is just kind of wrapped. And this is because this is the language comprehension part of it. And this strand, everybody's language comprehension, background knowledge is very different. So we have lawyers, we have military people, we have nurses, we have all these computer people on the board. That is not my strategy, my forte. So my background knowledge, this strand, my vocabulary, all of that information is going to be loose. But for you, yours is going to be tight. So if you have this good solid piece, and then you have a piece of text that deals with technology or banking or something like that, this strand is going to be really tightly so that you'll be able to comprehend what you read. So our teachers really need to build that comprehension, that background knowledge, the vocabulary, prefixes, suffixes, how to take words apart, how to put sentences together, the different types of genre in a story. And this is all going to ebb and flow depending on what the students have been exposed to in their outside life. So that's why this one is loosely, because this can come and go, and the teacher's job is to tighten it up so that they can then understand what they read. So in a nutshell, that's really what Scarborough's rope is, because the simple view of reading is just taking it apart. So you have word recognition, language comprehension, which leads to reading comprehension is down here. So this has been the main focus, especially this strand, the word recognition strand, all year. So your phonological awareness. So if you volunteer in classrooms, you'll see teachers saying, say, sour ball. Now say sour ball without ball, and the kids have to come up with sour. Then if you get into higher pieces, say cat. Now say cat, but don't say k, and the students have to say at. Then they might substitute it. Say map, but instead of p, say t. So then in their head, there's no visual, there's nothing. They have to say mat. So they have to be able to manipulate all of those pieces, and that helps with their decoding and their ability to read. Those are the foundational reading skills. So this year, this has been our big strand. This has been our knowledge base. Next year, we're going to get into this part of it. February's countywide day, again, it focused on different skills because the grade levels wanted more. What a kindergarten teacher does is very different than what a third grade teacher does. So they really wanted, the feedback was that they wanted something more specific to their grade level. So we broke them up into grade level bands, and it was different skills at their level. So third grade kids, that was the session I was in, we really dealt with syllable types. Open, closed, I can't even tell you all of them because it's a lot. So that was in February, and then decodable readers. Our AIS teachers, because they are the kids that work with our most at-risk students right now, they were trained at morning meetings. So the consultants turnkey, right? They went through the 6 days of training. They came back. We worked together to build these presentations. The AIS teachers were trained first because we wanted those kids that leave the rooms and get the intense instruction to really start rehoning those foundational skills. And then on our half days, the consultants would turnkey for all of our teachers, UPK5, because we know that we have students right now sitting in 4th and 5th grade classrooms that are non-readers or that are struggling readers. So those 5th grade teachers, when they have ELA class or math or guided reading, we know that they need that same knowledge base. So on those half days, that has really been our focus this year, is giving those teachers that PD. So they've gotten it a little bit slower. The coaches are in their buildings and they're working with them as well. So the building and the consultants are there for them as well. So year 2 is going to look much the same, except like I said, we're going to really focus on that language comprehension strand so that the students ultimately can comprehend grade level, above grade level text. That's the overall goal. Classroom teachers this year will be going through this summer, will be going through letters training. So we've got 10 teachers who are going through this same training that we got last year. We're really trying to build the teacher's capacity for that. And then November's conference day, again, we've got the 2 countywide days. Comprehension is going to be one of the big ropes, or the big focuses. February we're still working on. We're just developing November's right now. And then the consultants and the reading coaches are going to work more in tandem to provide that PD. When we first started, our consultants were the trainers. That was why they all went through this. And then when the Reading League got that grant from the American Girl doll lady, I forget her name, we were able to get our coaches so that every building had a coach 2 days a week. So we'll be able to utilize them a little bit more. We had already had our focus planned out. So that was, towards the end, they have started to work more tandemly together in some buildings. So that's kind of how that will work, again, on half days and faculty meetings.
Ms. Phillips, you said 10 teachers are doing it this year?
This summer, yes.
Is there any particular, was that volunteer or were they selected?
The principals went and asked certain teachers. They tried to get one from every grade level. some tried to get a special education teacher depending on, and then if the teachers could do it, you know, they could do it. If not, then they just went to somebody else within that grade level. Some teachers are trying to get fully grade level people, depending on where their strengths and weaknesses are in buildings. So there might be like 3 or first grade teachers going from one building, and one might be sending in a K, a special ed, and a 2, if that's where a large population of students are that are a little bit struggling moving to. So it just depends on the dynamic in the building. But yep, we the chiefs met and brought this because we were only supposed to have 6 people go, and the chief said we're never going to build the capacity and get all of our teachers trained if we don't offer something else. So city worked and they're bringing in extra people, so we're going to be able to send 4 extra people. So it's a good, we'll get there.
And if I could just jump in, I've had teachers comment to me, and I know they have to you, Aaron, saying, got back a couple months ago, that they've already seen the progress as the year progressed. And again, I really want to hit upon why are we even spending the time here to talk about this? Why is this a big focus? So John Hattie is like the guru in education in the world. So he's the #1 researcher that people talk about. His book called Visible Learning, if you Google it, he did over 800 meta-analysis with over 49 million students. And it showed that students that were not reading on grade level by the end of 3rd grade were 4 times less likely to graduate on time with their cohort. And then if you add poverty into the mix, which is a problem in Oswego County, on top of that 4%, it's another 9%. So right off the bat, you got 13% counting against the kids that can't read on grade level and that also come from a household in poverty. So those are that is a huge focus for us.
So what we currently have, we have 4 reading coaches. There's one at every elementary school, and they're each in their buildings 2 days a week. They work directly with teachers in a variety of ways. So you see certain coaches working with teachers and they're modeling specific skills. They might be doing some assessments on the kids to help with the teacher and showing the teacher how to do the assessments. They help the teachers in finding resources that they're looking for. We've got 2 coaches, no, 3, that I know of that are leading book studies in at Kilpatrick's book on foundational reading pieces in their buildings. The teachers are reaching out to some of the coaches in the buildings. So this year was a build rapport, a get to know you, and some teachers we know in any field. We have some people who jump right on, and then there's some people who are tentative and want to watch on the outside until they feel a little bit more comfortable and trust, because it's their classroom and we completely get that. So some it's taking a little bit longer, but regardless, they're getting the knowledge and they're making that change in their classrooms. And it's great to see that, because some of these skills that the kids are doing, I have to sit there and think about what the words are that they're saying. The coaches also attend data meetings. So the way the principals schedule their PLC meetings or their data meetings, the coaches, when they're in that building, also attend those meetings, which is fantastic. And again, they work with the consultants on designing and delivering some of the PD, either in grade levels or faculty meetings on half days. So there's been a shift, and the momentum is positive from what I have seen. And I'm in every building, and I was in a class over at Miller Park the other day, and the teacher started doing one of the phonological awareness activities. She goes, "Mrs. Phillips, we're going to redo it because I want you to see how good the kids are doing with this." And it was, determining long vowels and short vowels. And in 1st grade, that's a hard skill to hear the different sounds, especially an E and an O and a U. And they're able to manipulate it, and the kids are so excited because they can, this is something that, it's fun, and they call it a game, and that's really, that's what it is. So they're learning in a really fun way. And that is it.
What's involved with the dating meetings? Is that just Dibble's scores?
Nope. They look at diagnostic data, so they're looking at DIBELS and how the kids are doing on their progress monitoring results, but they're also looking at we call it the QPS. It's a quick phonics screener. So it goes through the different skills that the students developmentally build, phonics-wise, or those sounds, so they can decode and blend them. They're looking at that data. They're looking at their CKLA assessments. They're looking at how the kids are doing in guided reading, on their writing. So it's It's a collection of all the pieces that they have to see, are the kids making the progress? Are you seeing their sounds in their writing?
So it's the same data that's been collected before this?
QPS is new. We have a phonological awareness. Through this, we've learned about some other diagnostic assessments because we used to do the DIBELS and STAR and running records. And when we did the DIBELS, we realized that, okay, so if a student was yellow or red, like in oral reading fluency, we would kind of put intervention groups or intervention strategies in place, but we didn't do a good enough job drilling down and doing the diagnostic piece. So if they're in yellow and red on DIBELS, so they're not a fluent reader, we'll dig down a little bit more. We'll administer the QPS to see what specific sounds are they missing vowel teams? Are they missing an R control vowel where they're not reading it right and that's tripping them up on their reading? And we remediate that. We progress monitor, are they getting it? So we're doing more diagnostic to really pinpoint where the students, because if a student, you can give them oral reading fluency passages till the cows come home, but if they can't get those words off the page, their fluency is never going to improve. So you've got to remediate at the point that they start to struggle, and that's what we're trying to find with the diagnostic.
So for kids that are heavily struggling, is it used as an input for AAS or any other intervention?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
And if they're not, with the interventions that we have in place, if students don't make progress, we have gotten trained on, some of our AIS teachers have switched course. If what they see is not working to the rate that they'd like it, and they will put them in a program called Road to Reading, which is a very phonics-based piece. In fact, our students in the Bridges classroom over at Cole, the 15145 class, that's what they're using. And we had a student who came to us last year, well, this year, is a 5th grader who was virtually a non-reader, alternative assessment student, has gone through this year Road to Reading. He is now on a 1st grade reading level, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're an alternative assessment student and you're not embedded and you're not getting those reading skills, then he just took the state assessments. So, or no, his mother opted him out, but that's okay, because he changed over this year, so she wanted to give him that exposure. But to go from a non-reader to a 1st grade reading level, that's a big jump, big jump. Anything else?
So as a new program, I mean, it sounds like you're really positive about it. Is it, I mean, you're excited? Do you think it's a great thing for the district and the county?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay. Thanks.
I do.
Yeah. Good info. Looking forward to the kind of seeing the trends, the next
Yeah, me too.
on the presentation. Yeah,
Me
that
too.
sounds awesome.
Anything else? Anybody want my room?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, with that, we'll move to item E, reports. Really nothing new on the unfinished business, and I'll ask the board if there's something pressing that can't hold. We are lucky enough to have another meeting this coming Monday, so if there's something that can't wait until that meeting, just be your time straight up, but if it can wait, I'd ask you to do that. So anything from the board? All right. Then with that, we'll turn it over to the superintendent. As soon as he gets his glasses. All right, while he's doing that, I'll take the time to remind you guys. Our board self-review is due to our board clerk by Wednesday the 15th. And then our annual review feedback from the superintendent is due by the 20th. So we'll have Pearl send out one more reminder for those. But those are all due, and then we'll conduct them in June.
We have some excellent visuals that align to, the report. So the girls softball team, now Pearl, I can't look up with these last on, so I'm assuming this, okay. The girls golf team enjoyed an ice cream social with the residents of the Brewerton Senior Apartment Complex. I got a phone call from one of those senior citizens, just wanted to thank me, saying that the golf team was very lovely. Again, that touches upon those attributes of a Central Square learner when we talk about giving back to your community. Central Square Lady Redhawks and the Cortland Tigers held their More Than a Game event on May 8th. The Central Square Lady Redhawks wore white in honor of Coach Crandall's grandmother, who was battling lung cancer. Coach Crandall gave a very touching speech. recognizing the fact that when she was an athlete, her grandmother had come to the games and come now watch as her coach. The visiting team wore pink for breast cancer awareness. In total, the teams raised over $2,400 in pledges for MTAG Foundation, Galliceno Children's Hospital, and Upstate Cancer Research Center. Thank you to everyone who came out to support this amazing cause. Congratulations to seniors Caitlin Stewart and Juliana Bowden, who received Big of the Year at the Big Brothers Big Sisters ceremony. I was up there with Kristen Enright and also Deb O'Mara. Deb O'Mara is phenomenal, and she was actually recognized for her 19 years contributing to Big Brother Big Sister. This is the first time that a school district actually had two of the bigs win in their own district. So that was fantastic night. Congratulations to Central Square Middle School 7th and 8th grade chorus, competed and placed first out of 6 other middle schools in our chorus festival at Darien Lake. The Central Square Middle School chorus earned first place with a score of 97 and earned grand champion with the highest score of all performing middle and high school choruses. Logan Merkel was recognized as outstanding accompanist for the flute solo as he performed accompanying one of the songs. Congratulations to the students as well as the directors, Mrs. Mascaro and Mrs. Lindsay. Congratulations to the members of the 7th and 8th grade jazz band under the direction of Lindsay Ezzo for earning second place in competition with a score of 95.5. Outstanding soloists were Ariana Fenton and Sophia Arcuri. Again, these accolades right here again touch upon the presentation and the fact that we have such well-rounded students. That ends my superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. Polufo. Lots of great stuff happening. Nice visuals, by the way. Stepping it up. All right, with that, move into our action items. Can I get a motion to accept item F1, approval of an overnight student trip? Mrs. Nickerson with the motion, second by Mrs. Wood. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? That. And I will make a motion to accept item G in its entirety. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Is that Mr. Patch? All right, Mr. Down. Thank you. Any discussion on G? All those in favor? Thank you. And can I get a motion for item H? Mrs. Wood with the motion, second by Mrs. Nickerson. Any discussion on H? All those in favor? Thank you. And with that, I will make a motion that we adjourn our regular meeting so we can move to meet the king. Yes. Well, hold on. Hold on. Motion's made. Second by, I'll second. Mr. Buddy, beat everyone to it. Now we'll open up the discussion. Superintendent.
I just mentioned Miss Deb O'Mara. She just came in right there. Miss O'Mara, if you want to raise your hand. 19 years she's been involved with the Big Brother Big Sister. And again, I'd like to round of applause.
Thanks for all you do. And there's no other discussion. All those in favor of adjourning our regular meeting? Thank you. And now we'll just have a couple minutes to allow our student leaders to set up for Meet the Candidate.